Well, hello there, and welcome to Continuing the Conversation, live from the APWA Congress Trade Show floor at the Expo Experience. My name is Emily Barta, and we'll be having these conversations throughout the rest of today and all day tomorrow. So welcome to everyone joining us from home, and welcome to everyone here in Denver. Now, if you're joining us from home, and this is not your first conversation with us today, I'm guessing that means that you're having a good time. And if you are, we would love to ask a favor of you. Would you please tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your coworkers to jump online and register for free. And you can do so at bit.ly/APWA Expo, all lowercase levels. Guess what, everyone sitting here in Denver? If you have colleagues or friends or coworkers back at home who couldn't make it here, go ahead and send them a message and say, hey, you can participate virtually and get a taste of what you're missing. And just give them the link, bit.ly, bit.ly/APWA Expo. What we're going to do now is we're going to have a conversation about the Haiti Experience. And for everyone here in Denver, there's two ways for you to get involved in this conversation. The old school way, by raising your hand. We'll bring the microphone over to you and we'll get your voice heard. Or the new school way, by going on to Twitter and sending us a tweet at hashtag APWA Expo. For everyone at home, you have two ways to communicate as well. Via Twitter and the APWA Expo hashtag, or via the Ask a Question button in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. And here we are, sitting with Curt Edwards. He's the Vice President of SOMIS and the outgoing Chair of APWA's Emergency Management Committee. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, you had a session yesterday at 3 o'clock called the Haiti Experience.
Yes.
Talk to us about your session. What happened?
I presented as part of the American. Let me back up. Part of my assignment is with the American Society of Civil Engineers. Okay. They send people out to evaluate damage to infrastructure after earthquakes. So this year I've been to Haiti. I've been to Japan. I've also been to Indonesia this year. So I get a lot of frequent flyer miles anyhow. So that's
but not necessarily for positive reasons.
No, yeah, you kind of get numb to the disaster part of it and try to look for things that are beneficial as far as improving infrastructure and simple things people can do to keep damage from happening and restore lifeline services as fast as possible.
Well, because quite honestly, and I'm sure we all agree, that a lot of times the negative situations provide the most amount of learning experiences, yes?
Yeah, that's correct.
So specifically, I mean, you've been to many, many earthquake sites. You've investigated and reported on just countless amounts of earthquake damage. Was Haiti any different?
It was different in the way that they had very little infrastructure. They had a very small water system. They have no wastewater system to speak of. Everything's on septic tanks or goes down to storm sewers. Their public works organization isn't very well organized or very well funded. They might pick up trash once a month, something like that. So when there was damage, there was very little that they could do to respond to it, to get things back in service. So they relied heavily on international assistance to get things going. But for them, everything's money-driven. They don't have any money. They can't get roads repaired, get roads cleared, get the damaged buildings thrown away, and things like that.
Well, speaking of damaged buildings, there were 105,000 homes, 1,300 schools, and 50 hospitals that were destroyed.
Yeah.
Forget damaged, destroyed. And those are just the buildings. In terms of the people, the numbers are even worse, unfortunately. 250,000 deaths, 300,000 injuries, and 1.2 million people left homeless and forced to reside in temporary shelters. So if there wasn't even a good infrastructure to begin with, how did they put up with these temporary shelters?
Well, most of the people put up their own shelters, which consisted of wood, and there were a lot of blue tarps stuck over sticks and things like that in the big central park there near the presidential palace. So, and they're still there as far as I know. They haven't constructed any housing for them yet. so those poor people are just still, well, it's not cold there or anything, but when the hurricanes come through, those things will just blow away, and they got to start over again.
How did this affect you personally? I mean, would I be accurate in saying that this was the worst devastation you've ever seen?
One of the worst.
One of the worst.
Yeah, Turkey was pretty bad, but this one is even worse because the construction materials were very poor. In the United States, we looked for 3,000 to 4,000 psi strength in our concrete. We took cylinders from Haiti; they were about 1,000. And the materials weren't good. They used salt water for mixing concrete, which is a bad thing.
Right.
And so having all these buildings poorly constructed was a recipe for disaster, as it turned out. So, and there's nothing they're going to do to change their construction practices. There are codes, but they don't enforce them. So that allows for corruption. People want to save money. They buy off inspectors and things like that, and that's why all these people died.
Wow.
So.
What did you learn from this? I mean, it sounds like there's so many problems that are integral to the country that, we as individuals in the public works industry in America can't even begin to help them overcome. So what did you learn from this? That
you really need a central government that's effective, and they don't have one. And all the good ideas, they do have academia there. And so those are the people that are advocating. They sponsored some of our activities. So the educated people over there are trying to make change, but it's very hard to do. They can't get the right people into the governments, into the various ministries they have for running their infrastructure, and then again, the world is reluctant to give money to Haiti because there's no central government. Because of the corruption, people take the money and spend it on other things. So.
Lovely. Anyone at home, do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? Do you have any personal experience with the earthquake in Haiti? Go ahead and send us a tweet to #APWA Expo, or go to the lower left-hand corner of that virtual platform and click the question button. What about here? Anyone in Denver? Do you have any questions, any comments? We're going to bring the mic right over here.
Hi, so what's the solution? If they can't afford to build 4,000 psi concrete structures, and they can't live out in the open with no roof whatsoever, the only thing they can probably afford is the lower quality stuff. What do you do?
In other countries, they've actually educated the people, like in India, Turkey, where people can't afford to build housing. They've actually come up with earthquake-safe housing. And it's basically, you stack the bricks, wrap it with chicken wire, and put plastic on it. The house is still going to get damaged, but the bricks won't fall off and won't kill the people. And it's going to be easy to fix. But if you don't take those minor precaution measures, people are going to get killed. So I mean, so it's an education thing. They know that everybody that died knew what happened, but the people that didn't die probably didn't experience that, and they don't understand what engineering is or what you need to do. And so what they've done is built like in India, they built in their Central Park, they actually built a single-family home out of their materials that they used and showed ways you can keep these bricks from falling down and saving your life.
Education is key, which is one of the huge, contributions of APWA.
Yeah.
Is there anything that the public works industry can do to help educate the people or the government of Haiti?
Yes. Well, and I think George Crombie was just over there to Haiti. Those types of exchanges are good. Having, like, when we went over there, we gave talks to the local engineering community. It's just hard to enact change, so we give them simple solutions, low-cost solutions, especially in a poor country like Haiti, and they're not going to be like we would use here.
Right.
The bridges won't. Amazingly enough, their bridges didn't fall down. The bridges are well built. Everything else fell down, but the bridges didn't.
So the bridges are well built, but the roads and the buildings are not.
Right, exactly.
Now, you've gone to a lot of different earthquake sites.
Yeah.
What can you take away from all of these experiences to bring back to the U.S. and help public works officials here?
I think it's keeping disasters in the minds of the public works officials and of the people. People have short memories.
True.
You have an earthquake in California, everybody runs around and does everything for a year or two, and then 3 years later they forget about it. You have a hurricane in Louisiana, everybody's all excited about it for a year or two, and eventually it just gets forgotten. So I think it's things like this that we need to keep it in the minds of the public works officials, of the politicians especially, the people in Washington that fund a lot of these issues. It's important that there are these disasters. They're going to happen, and we need to be ready for them and be able to respond to them.
How can we be ready for them? How can we respond to them here on our soil?
You can do emergency response drills. I know in California they do continuous emergency response drills every year. They have people with ketchup on them laying around, and they do all this stuff. But they're full-scale drills. FEMA just had their national level exercise for a New Madrid earthquake, and that involved thousands of people in hundreds of cities all around, up and down the Midwest, just to see how it was going to work with the public and the private. There's a lot of private industry in the Midwest that could be subject to an earthquake. It's the home of FedEx, UPS. I mean, there's big things. If those places go down, that's going to impact the U.S. economy. So
anyone at home, if you have had any personal experience with earthquakes or with improper infrastructure hindering recovery efforts, let us know. Send us a tweet to hashtag APWA Expo, or go to the lower left-hand corner on your platform and click the Ask a Question button. You can comment there as well. You don't have to just ask a question. What about here? I mean, do any of us have any personal experience with earthquakes? Luckily, I do not. But does anyone here have any personal experience, any disasters in their municipalities that they want to tell us about? We'd love to hear your voice. Or what kind of questions do you have for Curt? What do you want to know about in terms of disaster recovery or proper infrastructure, really helping out from the beginning?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it boils down to, right?
It's interesting what we do, the reports we write, can be applied to just about anything. We've done reports on floods, windstorms, earthquake damage can be just a high wind, too, that the buildings are susceptible to that type of thing. So we've done a lot of reports. They're available to read. So I would suggest that people that are doing designs and look these resources up before they design something, so they can certainly design something that's resilient.
How can we find those reports?
On the ASCE website.
The
ASCE, American Society of Civil Engineers website. Yeah.
Website, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Yes, we're going to bring you the microphone real quick, Robert.
Thank you. Had a lot of experience recently with our hurricanes in South Texas. Helped out with some of the recovery efforts with Hurricane Ike. And I think Public Works is playing more of a role in first responders. We had to get in there and get the water system and the wastewater system back up and running. Before even fire and police could get in there, we had to get in there with the heavy equipment and get the roads cleared before the power guys could get in there. One of the things that we found difficult was that the staff from Galveston, they evacuated. They had no way of coming back. We didn't have the documentation to know where their systems were, where the lift stations were. And so we've had some discussions about the need for the ability to store our plans off-site, whether it's a sister system, a city, or some other place, so that when an agency comes in, they can go and say, okay, give me the plans for McAllen. We need to know what their infrastructure looks like. Are there any systems being developed in that regard?
I think for the most part, I think when these people practice this, they know they have to have certain people stay behind. So they need safe havens, hardened buildings that are, in the hurricane case, windproof, waterproof, generation on the roof, not in the basements like they do so often, and so that they can actually function and provide information to first responders. One thing we've been working on the Emergency Management Committee the last 6 years is getting the federal government to recognize the fact that APWA is a first responder. They always think about, firemen have unions and policemen have unions and advocates and all those things. Well, like you say, you can't fight a fire without water. You can't get to the disaster with roads being out. So we've been working on that. But I think it goes down again to practicing emergency drills. Galveston has hurricanes, so they can't pull all the people out of town.
Right.
You know, it isn't practical to do that. You got to have a safe haven for them.
How can we get involved with you in your efforts in the emergency management area? I mean, if I'm from South Texas, how do I get involved in what you're doing?
There is what is it? Emergency Now, Info Now. That's it. There's an Info Now blog for the emergency management. And you can get on that mailing list, and so that keeps you up to date on what's going on with the Emergency Management Committee. You're welcome to come and attend the meetings here at the Congress, which is tomorrow at 10 o'clock somewhere. And I'll be saying goodbye to the Emergency Management Committee. So, well, yeah, and so, but that's how you can get involved from the APWA standpoint. And then also from ASC, if you're an engineer, you can join ASC and get involved that way.
Well, and also yesterday we were talking about the Emergency Management Institute, which is part of FEMA, and it is a 4-course online free public works as first responders lessons. The first one is already uploaded. The following 3 lessons will be uploaded within the month or so, and you can get to that at FEMA.org, and it's Emergency Management Institute. Yeah. Looks like we have a question or comment from the virtual audience.
I do, and I can let the virtual audience know that link, FEMA.gov, is actually in your resources, as well as a PDF to the handout from a session that Emily just referred to. But bringing in the topic that we had in this space earlier today, sustainability. Lawrence, who's watching us online, had the question, are any of those types of considerations being taken into account as Haiti rebuilds, or is the need just too immediate?
I don't think so. I mean, every government building was destroyed in Haiti. Not much has been happening unless there's been some outside money or outside organizations moving into Haiti. So, and like I said, they didn't have much infrastructure to start with. The power company's probably up and fully restored. Cell service is back working again. So there are some essential services still there. The airport's working. The ports are privately owned, so they're back up and working. So all that is working. But Haiti's kind of a dilemma, because you really don't know what to do. I think it really needs to be worked on, and somebody needs to champion the government. Get them in line.
Get them in line. All of us need to get educated on being first responders, which we can do at FEMA.gov, and look for the Emergency Management Institute. So, coming up next here at Continuing the Conversation at 2:30 Mountain Time, we are actually going to talk some more about the Haiti Experience with George Crombie, who's the outgoing president of APWA. So if you have any more questions, if you want to find out any more information, definitely join us again here in Denver or from the comfort of your home or office at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time to discuss APWA's mission to Haiti. And otherwise, thank you, Curt, very much for stopping by and letting us know. That's Continuing the Conversation live from the APWA Congress Trade Show floor at the Expo Experience. See you back here at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time.